Welcome all, my name is Roxanne Vargas. We will get started on discussing English language learners and the different models or approaches for the Arizona English learner. An English learner is a student who's learning English in addition to their primary language. English learners can have a hard time learning than students who already know English. Just like if we tried to learn a different language, we would encounter many difficulties in trying to get our work done. The demographic and home language compositions of the pre-K to 12 English learner population in Arizona is very diverse. Some of the top languages spoken in Arizona homes are Spanish, Arabic, Swahili, and Navajo, and also Vietnamese. By the graph shown, as students enter a higher grade level, then the percentage goes down. As you can see here, based on this graph from 2016 and 2017, the lower grades have two-digit learners, while the upper grades are in the single-digit % of learners. There are a few sections that go with the SEI, and Azella is used to determine the EL student and have a focus on the English language itself, like sound and forms of words, word order rules, vocabulary, and using English language in other circumstances and contexts. The three major components we will discuss on the next slide are policy, structure, and classroom practices. Here we can see the responsibilities of developing and carrying out evidence-based models of structured English immersion programs in the Arizona schools. These three sections to SEI, the first one is policy, is about the laws and goals, and English must be taught and instruction has to be given in English. The EL students are assembled in a well-defined environment for learning. The second section is structure. This consists of few elements. Within these elements, it is based off school numbers, how the EL progress, and what level of grade they are in. The classroom content is about 4 hours a day. Azella determines if a student enters or exits by its scores, and the placement is based on how much the English a student has learned. There cannot be more than 20 to 23 students in a class. The time does not have to be done in one setting, but it can be spread as long as they get the 4 hours. Here in this graph, you can see that sheltered instruction is when teachers use specific strategies to make a grade level content knowledgeable and more accessible while developing language skills. The distinction between SEI and sheltered English instruction is that it is mostly spoken in English for instruction. Sheltered English instruction is allowed to use more of the student's native primary language to help support the student's learning. The Arizona's language development approach, students are able to gain from the instruction that gives them meaning and respect for their home language and their lifestyle. There are 4 principles that align with this approach, and let's take a look here. The first principle is assets-based behaviors and expectations. Educators must acknowledge the different spoken language while respecting a safe, inclusive environment here. The second principle is integrated instruction in disciplinary language and content. Here, educators must be responsible for creating instruction that allows content standards to help in students learning with English language proficiency standards and giving students a rich language environment. The third was the principle is targeted and explicit language instruction which allows students to use what they learn in their grade level. The fourth principle makes sure that the standards are aligned with all assessments and feedback is given in a timely manner so students can excel. Here we can see in student agency that teachers help make situations that will support students to have their own voice, adjust ways of learning, and be aware of themselves for ongoing learning. Student agency encourages pupils to take charge of their education. Components of Arizona's approved research-based SEI models are the pull-out model, the newcomer model, the 50-50 dual language immersion, and the 2-hour model. The newcomers are students that have just showed up in the United States and enrolling in school for the very first time here. The pull-out model is where students must depart from their classrooms where everyone else is to get special instruction. The dual language immersion is to support EL students with instruction in English but also in the student's home language, making it to be 50-50 in a joint language according to New America. The 2-hour model allows students 2 hours of English language development daily. AZELA, or Arizona English Language Learner Assessment, is a test that students are given, and this assessment has to meet state and federal requirements. AZELA serves as a tool for both placement and reevaluation. If the home language survey identified a second language student, then the AZELA places them with the placement test. Test scores are given and our students and teachers are able to know how much English a student is progressing, and there's oral language scores given also. AZELA and parent rights. Just as in any other situation, parents have the right to leave their child in the programs or an option to pull their child out. The school wants to make sure that all students are given equal opportunity for learning, so parents are encouraged to have a meeting to see what all can be provided for that child before just pulling them out. Federal fundings can also be affected, and still these students will have to take AZELA every year.